Whatever I've got to do, it's painful, it's hard. I wish I could have brought Gabby home, but I can't. So if I can save just one person, that's going to honor my kid.
Real people, real issues, real conversations. We brought many important topics to the table this year on Let's Talk Cincy. From community safety issues to the arts, our mission was to dive into these issues that matter to you, to bring it all to light, to put our community on a path of healing.
I have no car now, no home, and I've been working really hard to get all this. So.
Such was the case with our neighbors in Dayton, devastated by a series of tornadoes. We felt their pain. We took our show to the Gem City to show you the recovery and the rebuilding.
Her being uprooted at 99 years old, it's gonna be hard, period. I don't even know how to put it. It's stressful on everybody.
We also put a spotlight on the new Weston Soccer Stadium, the progress that the neighborhood needs, and the price that some residents paid for it. We look back at 2019, an amazing year, in this edition of Let's Talk Cincy.
From WLWT, this is Let's Talk Cincy.
Hi there and welcome to Let's Talk Cincy. You are definitely in for a treat along with Curtis Fuller and Jan Michelle Lemon-Kearney. I'm Alexis Rogers.
You know, we've covered a lot of important issues in the first year of our show.
We've talked about everything from school safety to mental health to entrepreneurship.
And we went in depth on violence happening in our community and across Ohio. The tipping point came with the August mass shooting in Dayton.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The deadly aftermath touched us all, including Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, who sat down with us for this exclusive interview.
These are uncomfortable discussions, but part of my job is to deal with uncomfortable things.
Nothing more uncomfortable than the nightmare in the early morning hours of August 4th.
There had been a mass shooting in Dayton.
One horrific moment in this state's history. And the piercing cry heard around the nation sparked action by the governor for gun reform.
The truth is that past governors, very, very well-intentioned, have tried to do things, and they ended up with zero.
Governor DeWine crafted a 17-point safety plan that tackles everything from school safety, intervention, and mental health to increase penalties. Absent are two controversial issues: the red flag law and universal background checks. But no excuses from the governor.
We're going to present what we think has a shot at getting passed, that's constitutional, but that will actually make a difference. Some people on one side say it's not enough. Some people on the other side say it's too much. I think it's things that will make, I know these things will make a difference. And I know we can save lives. It's not going to be easy. This is a heavy lift. This is a pretty big package of things. But I have confidence that the state legislature, once they look at the facts, once they look at what we are doing and how we are doing it, and once they talk to people who deal with these problems every single day, they're going to be convinced that yes, this is a lot better than what we have. This is moving the ball forward, and I think they'll pass it.
You know, I've known Governor DeWine for many years, and it really was an amazing interview to, first of all, go up to Columbus, sit down with him, and have the time to sort of talk through this. Now, I must admit, he was ready. He was fired up that day, as you well know, and didn't give us a lot of time to ask questions, but he had thought this through, and you could tell that he was impacted by it.
I think this really marked a special place in Ohio history because now we're seeing an issue that touches everybody. And he was addressing issues that touch everyone, and everyone had the same question, which was do something and what happens now. And so I know once we get a chance to talk to him again one of these days, I'm sure that we'll have plenty to talk about what's going to happen now and where we go from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next up is a show that we did with a couple of Cincinnati business leaders who have been two of the most driving forces behind the Cincinnati Renaissance over the past several decades.
Yeah, you know, but their leadership that they have, John Barrett and John Pepper, it goes far beyond just business. Cincinnati has the rather unique distinction of leading the way in the corporate community, the Queen City having as many companies headquartered here as Cleveland, Indianapolis, and Columbus combined. That is just part of the insight we got in our exclusive interview with two of Cincinnati's most respected business leaders, John Barrett and John Pepper.
Our deal, though, we've got to recruit 1, 2, or 3 more Fortune 500 companies. Even if the headquarters staff is 100 people or less, what follows them in service organizations to serve those companies is monstrous.
John Barrett is the chairman, president, and CEO of Western and Southern. John Pepper is the retired CEO and chairman of Procter & Gamble. Also, the one-time chairman of the Walt Disney Company and the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center. They made education a top priority in the corporate community 30 years ago and helped raise millions of dollars for the Cincinnati Scholarship Foundation.
The Scholarship Association has everything to do with what the long-term, I won't say solution, but making real progress and allowing everybody to have a gainful employment and the kind of life we want for our children and our grandchildren. And that's a task that we really are about as a city, and I'm very pleased with that.
You know, it's always humbling to be around them because they've done so much for this town and really throughout the country, but they love Cincinnati and they have really poured back into this town, not only money, but their time and other resources.
I found it amazing to have both of them sit down in the same place, talk about things that touch every Cincinnatian. I mean, there's not many things that we encounter here in the city that they haven't been involved with. And so I felt like I learned so much. You know how you are when you're in a class that you really like, you know, and you're like, oh man, this is great. I didn't think about it this way, or I didn't know that is what went behind it. I got that from that interview, so I really enjoyed that. We need to have them come back.
We do, because surprisingly, that was their first time that they sat down for an interview like that.
Goodness.
So we were really blessed to have that happen.
Absolutely. Well, of course, when we come back, we remember icons that changed our lives forever.
From soaring high in the skies to opening doors here on Earth, the contributions that made our world different today.
2019 was quite the year. We lost so many treasured souls in 2019. People really made a difference in our community and the country.
Yeah, absolutely. One of them was civil rights icon Marion Spencer. She was a trailblazer, not only in the fight for civil rights and human rights, but also in local politics.
And I've helped Cincinnati change a lot. If I'm going to live here, I want it the best place possible. The first voting that I did was in our grandfather's general store that he, as a freed slave, had built and opened to all the people in the neighborhood for the regular voting periods. And Millie and I looked through the cracks in the walls and we saw these people pulling these curtains behind them. And we said, when we grow up, we're going to do that. Never missed voting in my life. Wouldn't let me take my kids to Coney Island, you know. I said, well, who owns this place? When the judge ruled against them, I tell you, that courtroom was quiet. It was quiet. They were upset. They didn't expect it to happen. Don't accept what's wrong. Speak up wherever and whenever it happens to you. And I said, and that's why what we have to do. I've done all my life.
She was beautiful, oh my goodness. And the great news is that the statue in her honor that the Women's City Club has commissioned, it's all paid for now. The Greater Cincinnati Foundation and the Links came together and gave the final dollars, and Curtis was there to announce it. It'll be unveiled June 28th on her 100th birthday.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
She would be so excited about this.
Yeah.
She was always so humble.
She loved you, oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she loved Curtis.
Well, yeah, she was very, very kind to me. But you, out of all of us, probably knew her
All
best
my life.
all your
All
life.
my life, yeah.
Talk about what it was like, you know, back then.
She was so feisty. I mean, I just, we went to we went to Mount Zion United Methodist Church. Mayor Ted Berry was a member, and his wife Johnny Mae was there, and Marion Spencer would just come through, and she was always excited about politics, even before she got on council in 1983. And just growing up, hearing about that, like she was such a strong, kind, always smiling person, just such a great woman. Just, we just loved her.
She was like the best host. I would love to have tea with her and just talking with her.
Right.
I mean, she just had this understanding of the world, of Cincinnati, of people.
Yes.
She could see the goodness of people, and she was never afraid.
Right, she was never afraid. And
Absolutely.
she and her husband had the greatest relationship. I mean, they were so in love always.
I will add this, in those final days, I was sitting there with her. I haven't really shared this with anyone, but, sitting there knowing that this was the end. I tell you, that was real tough. But last time that we were able to talk before she got sick, it was her day after her birthday. I kissed her on her forehead, told her I loved her, and she was still smiling. And then within a few days, we lost her. So that's difficult.
Yeah, you were special to her. Alexis too. You guys,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
really wonderful.
Well, breaking down barriers is a big conversation that we've been dealing with throughout the year, and really longer than that, with 3 local African-American women chemists.
Their extraordinary journey to Procter & Gamble when Let's Talk Cincy returns.
In 2019, we introduced you to organizations making a real impact, and some for a very long time. The Urban League of Greater Southwestern Ohio has served our community for 7 decades.
It's not only about being a part of the organization in our 70 years, because our theme has been, this is your Urban League. It's being a part of a movement that we know changes and impacts community every day.
And many organizations impact our community every single day by feeding our neighbors in need. The Free Store Food Bank has been a beacon of light, shining the need to end food insecurity.
Holidays are a time where we can focus in on hunger and the impact that it has, but hunger doesn't take a holiday, and we need people throughout the year helping us out, making a difference for our community, trying to end hunger and stabilize lives.
The Urban League and Free Store Food Bank, just 2 examples of the work being done in Greater Cincinnati.
There is so much great work being done here in Greater Cincinnati, especially in the field of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And it's been almost an exclusive club for some.
Yeah, but that's changing as the field is opening up more opportunities for women. I'm looking at 3 black women chemists and looking at the field of STEM, so that's science, technology, engineering, and math. Like the proportion of African Americans in STEM jobs is like 6%. And you guys are African American and women, so you're like a really small percentage. What led you into chemistry?
I loved science at a very early age. I can remember being in science fair projects and actually winning as early as the 4th grade and loving it.
Growing up in Cincinnati in the inner city in Walnut Hills, I didn't see anyone that looked like me. I didn't see anybody, I didn't know anyone. And so I wanted to be that role model for the future generations to say, you know what, I can do this. I see a black woman who is in science.
So HBCUs are like 3% of colleges and universities in the country, but they produce almost a third of all the STEM grads. So maybe that gets to the whole, I know you went to UC, but maybe that gets to the whole mentorship that Sawana was talking about.
So like Rakisha said, it's because people take us in, and I am so passionate about making sure I give that part back to young girls and even boys in our communities.
For me, it's really just setting the platform, showing them what it can look like, what a career can look like, what choices they can make.
So we also go back and make sure that we're talking to children earlier, because a lot of kids could have been lost a whole lot sooner and can be before 6th grade. They have tuned out of science, they have tuned out of math, and we want to make sure that we are there to intercept them.
You know, I absolutely loved that interview. It
That was
so
fun.
cool spending time with them.
Right.
You don't think about a lab having like hair and things of
Right.
that nature.
Yeah, they had all that hair. And the great thing is, you know, the Center for Closing the Health Gap just did a survey, and they said black women don't like to exercise because of hair. And so here are women whose job it is to develop natural products for women, for black women.
And that was the first time that I realized why my hair is the way that my hair is. I mean, a lot of people have that.
coil.
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of people have that question, and so it was like we were like kids in a candy store
Right.
because we were like, really? That's why.
Yes, yes, that was great. They were so inspirational. Walking through the lab was just so much fun.
And to see a team that looks the way that they do, and the fact that the entire team that looks very different, I mean, a little bit of everyone, is learning this because it's important and it's growing across the world, right here in Cincinnati.
Right, and it's going to help women, as you said, worldwide. That's so
Absolutely.
exciting.
But that's not all that we have.
Yeah, so we also talked to some other entrepreneurs, and that was really fun at Black Coffee.
And what better place to talk to some of these entrepreneurs than at a local coffee shop? We sat down with some of our city leaders and the entrepreneurs to talk about what people need to know when starting and trying to sustain their businesses. And we saw up close the impact that it's had on our city. Tell us a little bit about how Mortar works. I know that there's a curriculum and you all have so many really graduated classes. Explain to me how it works.
So essentially what we have is a 15-week program that teaches the basics of entrepreneurship. We talk everything from the financial side to branding to marketing to the legal, and we are trying to make sure that we're filling any gaps that people are missing. There's a ton of people in Cincinnati and across the nation who are talented, who are gifted, and they just don't know what to do with it and how to legitimize their businesses. So we've created a program to help them do that. Then we have an 18-month program that's designed for alumni that continues to offer them that support after the fact.
Man, sustainability, I feel like that's more of a battle than starting. We see so many people start, but then to be able to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
In your curriculum, what has proven to be among the most helpful to make sure that people grasp on and are taught?
I think one of the most important parts of our curriculum is that when we were writing the curriculum, we were looking at all of the things that were missing from other, in our research of other people's, projects and what they're doing across the nation. And one of the things that we noticed is that there was no real conversation about personal finances. Everybody jumps into your business finances. But we all know that if you have terrible business or terrible personal finances, you bring that into the business. There's not a magical wand that all of a sudden I can manage my money properly. So we spend 5 of the weeks just talking about money. And it can seem overwhelming, but if you don't have your money right, your business is not going to be right and you're not going to be sustainable.
If you don't have your money right, nothing's right.
Yeah, you've got to get that money right. You know, I'm at a class at the African American Chamber of Commerce right now that really helps with getting your business finances together. But we've had interviews with Al Riddick and Lawrence Kane to talk about personal finances too.
Especially when it comes to entrepreneurs, because this is a special city. I mean, we talked to Soledad O'Brien about this as well, about specifically it in Cincinnati, and the reason why it really makes our city different.
Right.
Because people are passionate here and they want to buy local, they want to keep things local, and that's why people love Cincinnati so much. I say that it's the place that you come for 2 years and you stay for 20.
You stay forever. Yeah, you stay forever just because there's so much going on and there's so much support for small businesses here. And that's the growing job market. Small businesses, I mean, that's what people are doing. They're really getting control of their lives through having their own business.
Look how much it's changed OTR.
Yeah.
I mean, it's changed our entire city. But you know what? Our community is blessed to have many talented young people who entertain and give back. We shine a spotlight on them when Let's Talk Cincy returns.
Welcome back, everyone. You know, during 2019, we celebrated what makes Cincinnati such a wonderful community to live in. The Flying Pig Marathon is one event that brings people from all walks of life together. The Flying Pig is the 3rd largest marathon in the entire country and can actually be used to qualify for the Boston Marathon. You know, Cincinnati is filled with talented young people.
Absolutely. I mean, and some of their resumes are more than award-winning adults. I mean, these children are amazing. I shouldn't even say children, but some of them haven't even graduated from high school.
And of course, we showcased dozens of them, so much so, it was kind of hard not to be inspired.
Talent comes in all sizes. 8-year-old Reese Smedley proved that with her organization called Reese's Heart.
When you see homeless people, give bags to them.
There's also Ava Sine, who danced with the Radio City Rockettes, and she hasn't even graduated high school.
I was 12 years old and 13 at the time, and it was an amazing experience. I got to perform for Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman.
Then there's Maxwell Fairman. He started playing violin at the age of 4 and has even played at the White House. Cincinnati is filled with talented kids. We checked in with the Soul Bros, who we've been following since they were in middle school, now in high school. They've gathered more than 6,000 shoes for kids in Jamaica, Ghana, Texas, and right here in Cincinnati.
It makes me be a better person in my daily life.
For me, it gives me a better appreciation for what I have.
It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. I can have like 50 pairs of shoes and there's people out here who don't have anything, walking around with cardboard. That just doesn't logically make sense to me.
We also had a tasty update with Food Network's Chopped Junior winner, Naja Bray.
I have just started my business selling macarons and cupcakes. And so I have been trying to do vendor events. I just did my first vendor event and it was very, very successful. I sold out of everything that I made.
And might I say, Curtis was knocked off his feet.
He's having a lot of fun with this macaron.
Oh, we miss you. It's just très bien.
Thank you.
Yeah. The best part is they are all just getting started.
So I had forgotten about that.
It's hard not
we don't
smile.
see this. Yeah, we don't see them before.
That's right. And he speaks French. Woo.
I mean, hey, it's amazing. And then we couldn't put everybody in that piece, but I mean, you have 3, 4-year-olds, 9-year-olds with their own things. It's amazing.
Naja was really cool. You know, she was talking about how she helped one of the contestants on the television show, but they didn't show that on the air. So it was, I mean, it was competitive, but they were still helping each other, and I love that about her.
Yeah, it's good. You know, in the course of this year, we've talked a lot of issues. Some of them were tough issues to talk about, but it was nice to include the great stuff that young people, because you know, they're really talking.
Yeah.
You know,
they're doing great things. They're doing great things.
They really are. We should also thank people for I hear nothing but really great things about the show, and they're watching. I always say, are you still watching me on the news though?
Absolutely, yes.
You know, we wanted to do something new and fresh and fun, and we couldn't do it without people like you being able to and willing to have table talk conversations with us. So we thank you so much. We appreciate you. And hey, we're gonna have another really fun year of Let's Talk Cincy. So of course, email us your ideas at ltc@wlwt.com. You can also see full episodes and stories right there on our website. Just go to the menu tab of Let's Talk Cincy and you'll see everything you need to know.
And if you want to send food,
Curtis will taste it for you.
I'll taste it.
Then speak French.
That is not in the script. and thank you, Jan, for all your support and great story ideas as well.
I love it.
All right.
Thank you.
That's all our time. Have a nice day.